So I was scrolling through Twitter yesterday, and upon scrolling through Twitter, I saw a tweet from my good friend Jordan X. Brooks that the next Assassin's Creed, and take all this with a pinch of salt, grain of salt, rock of salt, whatever amounts of salt you wish to intake, that apparently the next AC game is gonna not release until 2023, and instead of being full-on bloated, boring filler-filled Ubisoft open world, it could just be semi-open world in the style of Uncharted. Hold up, what? This is Ubisoft, so I don't know if I believe that, but yet again, apparently the person who's leaking this information also leaked some of Valhalla, and that all turned out to be true, so this could potentially be a thing, but it could apparently be scrapped as well. I don't know, but let's read the article about this, why don't we? Alright, so we're starting off with a very menacing headline here. New Assassin's Creed game report has bad news about the next game. Bad news? Ooh, let's see what this bad news is about. Next Assassin's Creed game may be a substantial departure from Valhalla, Odyssey, and Origins, and it may be far away from releasing, assuming it does release. Ominous. Speaking about the next installment in the series, a prominent Assassin's Creed leaker has relayed word that it will be more akin to games like Uncharted than Valhalla, which of course has the ears of some perked while it has others worried. Definitely mine perked. If you know my thoughts and feelings on Valhalla, then you'll know what I'm talking about. You should check out that rant if you haven't. It's pretty easy to find on the channel. You'll have no issue, I'm sure. The game is apparently focused on the former King of England, Richard the Lionheart, and it sounds pretty cool, but unfortunately, it also sounds like it may have been put on ice or even cancelled. As a result, the leaker tells fans of the series that they may be waiting all the way until 2023 to play the next entry in the franchise, which is a long time for a series that fluctuates between annual and biannual releases, which that is only a good thing as far as I'm concerned, because even with the 2-year gap between Odyssey and Valhalla, Valhalla was still full of bugs and issues, and still had crashing problems and freezing problems. Like, the game was definitely not ready for release. So, if that's what it takes, I'm all for it. If that means the franchise has better health in the long term, then that's what they need to do. I'm fine without a brand new Assassin's Creed game for 3 years. Really, I'm good. The new report comes the way Jonathan, an Assassin's Creed insider who made a name for himself within the Assassin's Creed community for accurately relaying details about Assassin's Creed Valhalla before they were revealed. According to the leaker, the game may have been scrapped as the team that was spearheading its development is now working on DLC for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Whatever the case, even if this game resumes development, it won't be out this year. In fact, the leaker notes it's looking increasingly unlikely that we'll get a new Assassin's Creed game in 2022 either, which means fans may be waiting until 2023 for the next installment. Again, perfectly fine. Speaking about the Richard game, the leaker claims it's very different from the last few installments, all which boasted vast open worlds and open-end gameplay. Rather than continue this, the new game was going to be semi-linear, with each game level being its own semi-open world. In short, the leaker claims the game would be more Uncharted-like than Valhalla-like. And considering how Uncharted 4 and The Lost Legacy turned out, I would only see that as a good thing. Which, so long as they execute it correctly, I'm all for it. But knowing Ubisoft and how they seem to have this habit of having great ideas, but not so good execution, in most cases fairly mediocre and average execution, even then in a direction like this, it's still best to be cautious, I feel. Diving further into the game, Jonathan claims the game would have involved the Third Crusade, 1189 to 1192, and Richard's journey back to the UK. Of course, players wouldn't play Richard himself, but his bodyguard. However, it sounds like there was another playable character as well, a female assassin. As the leaker notes, the game would have unfolded from two perspectives, with the two characters eventually crossing paths, which that definitely sounds like it could be very interesting to see in the game. Unfortunately, it sounds like this project being made by Ubisoft Sofia has been possibly canned, which is a shame because the premise from gameplay to story sounds awesome. That said, for now, take all this with a grain of salt, given that it's all unofficial information. At the moment of publishing, Ubisoft has not commented on any of this. We don't expect this to change, but if it does, we'll be sure to update the story accordingly, which the fact that Ubisoft isn't commenting on it and shutting down these rumors or leaks at all makes me think that this is probably a real thing or was a real thing at some point. Because usually when rumors like this crop up, the publisher or developer behind that game always comes out and says, yeah, that's bullshit, don't fall for it. But considering they haven't said anything and they're just staying quiet, it's pretty safe to say that's a red flag that, yes, that could potentially be the next Assassin's Creed game, or was going to be. Which, in this case, really wouldn't be a red flag because it would only be a positive, unless red flags can be a good thing. So in that case, would they be blue flags? So, yeah, this sounds like this could be a major blue flag for Assassin's Creed, but knowing Ubisoft, it wouldn't surprise me if they did can this game and we won't be getting it, but I really hope we do, because this would just be a fresh breath of air all around. Having something more in the style of Assassin's Creed 1, or in this case, Uncharted, I would be absolutely down for more of a focus on a 20-hour-long narrative experience, since I feel like even if the next Assassin's Creed game does turn out like this, it'll be longer than the average Uncharted game, considering Ubisoft does longer games, and I feel like even a game that isn't fully open world would still be longer than the average semi-open world game, or just any game in this sort of genre where you're just going from story mission to story mission, unless it's something like side objectives within the semi-open world hubs, with each level being its own mini world that you can enter, and you can go back and forth between all these worlds, fast travel between them. Maybe it could be something like, what was that one area from Revelations where you travel to that like underground villa or whatever for like a chapter, and then you go back to the main hub? I feel like they would do like multiple different versions of that, but for all the different levels for this sort of thing to work. I just feel like that's the direction they'd go into. Of course, none of this is confirmed, so this is pretty meaningless speculation, but hey, speculating is fun, so it's not meaningless, because that would imply that this is a waste of time, which it's not a waste of time doing something if you're having fun doing that thing. So therefore, this was worth doing, saying, and feeling. I would definitely be down to see the next Assassin's Creed game go in this direction instead of another 100-hour-long story game where like 60% of the content, if not more, is all content that has nothing to do with the main story at all. I would totally be down for that. So yeah, that's the story. What do you guys think? Do you think the next Assassin's Creed game could go in this direction, or do you see it taking on the usual open world Ubisoft formula? And if it does turn out to be an Uncharted-like game, are you looking forward to that? Do you want to see Assassin's Creed take a few years off? Or do you want to see another game this year or in 2022? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, as well as make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on all notifications after setting on the notification bell, along with leaving a like on the video, because all that helps. Okay, it's algorithm shit. It's engagement. What can I say? Except, you should do all that. So yeah, do all that. Thanks. But yeah, there you go. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. But until then, I'm out. Later.